Hey there viewer, honestly how do big YouTubers do it? I'm getting so sick and tired of these repetitive intros. Anyway, I'm your Obsidian Sorcerer, but you can call me Obsidian because I like you. Hashtag in a strictly platonic way. Anyway, you've seen the title of this video, so let's get into my predictions for Nintendo 64 Classic Edition. So for those who don't know about Nintendo's Classic Edition or mini systems, named as such because they're plug-and-play systems with classics of games of previous Nintendo generations built in, and their exterior is a mini replica of the systems we're borrowing the game library from, boom, you now do. You can thank me later. There have been two Classic Edition systems so far, the NES Mini with games from the NES era, keep up, and the SNES Mini with games from the Sega Saturn era, SNES era, sorry this is so complicated. Anyway, the SNES Mini released recently, and that begs the question, what will the N64 Mini be like? Oh god, was that really the best transition I could come up with? Yeah it was. So the N64 Mini, let's talk about that. Okay, because I can't structure a script for the life of me, let's go with the 5 W's. First off, who? Well, this one's obvious. Nintendo? Or does it mean the target audience being people who grew up with a Nintendo 64 and Nintendo fans? You can tell this is going to be a well-written episode. Next, there's what the system will be like, and while that may seem like a simple answer, it's complicated by the fact that unlike the NES and SNES, there are different variations of the N64 consoles and controllers, and I feel they need to release different variants of the system in proportion to how many units each variation sold originally in order to appeal and capitalise on nostalgia. Imagine a 90s kid walks into a video game store and sees this N64 Mini. He remembers how much he enjoyed it and decides to buy it for 5 rupees, even though it's only the standard version and he had the red one. Then he sees right next to it a red one, almost identical excluding size to one he had as a kid for only 10 rupees. Now I hypothesize that it would be a pretty even split between people who would spend that extra 10 rupees in that situation and people who wouldn't in that situation, and that's still quite a few rupees. But that's just one way they could go about it, and in actuality I would like to think it's more likely that they'd price them both equally because Nintendo, while still being a business, cares more about the games than the money, unlike other major developers and publishers. Staying on what, let's talk about the main attraction of this video, the games. So we can get all the obvious first party games out of the way: Mario 64, the launch title, Mario Kart 64, Mario Party 1, 2 and 3, but if I had to narrow it down to one Mario Party game, it would be 2, simply because it was one Nintendo was willing to show off on the eShop. Mario Golf, Mario Tennis, Zelda Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask, Pokemon Stadium 2, Hey You Pikachu, Pokemon Snap, Star Fox 64, F-Zero X, Kirby 64 and Super Smash Bros. Now most of those are the backbone of Nintendo 64's library, however you may notice a few iconic games missing from that list: Banjo-Kazooie, Conker's Bad Fur Day, Diddy Kong Racing, and GoldenEye 007. Now we can safely remove Conker's Bad Fur Day.
I am the great mighty Pooh, and I'm going to throw my shit at you. A huge supply of tish comes from my chocolate starfish. How about some scat, you little twat?
And we can add Donkey Kong 64 to the list as it had pretty much the same developmental cycle as Donkey Kong Country, and that game made it on the SNES Mini. But what about Rare? Well, if you already know about the Microsoft Rare debacle when skipped to his timestamp, I actually don't know how you pronounce debacle, I've only seen it written down. But it's fun to say it like this, so I hope it's right. Still here? Good. So at the end of the Super Nintendo's lifespan, Rare acquired new advanced technology that Nintendo thought was good, and so Nintendo allowed Rare to make a game with it using one of their IPs. Rare chose Donkey Kong, and the Donkey Kong Country series was born. Nintendo thought they did such a good job that they could become BFFs and rule the world. I assume that's what friends do, I wouldn't know, besides Jeff. Anyway, Rare became a second party developer just in time for the N64's arrival, producing many of the aforementioned classics over time. Yet, like all friendships, it ended with one stabbing the other in the back for approval and a level up on the social hierarchy that ultimately determines your self-worth as a human being. Damn it, Jeff! Anyway, in this instance, Microsoft bought Rare at the end of Nintendo 64's life cycle and put them to great work making games from the best genre ever, Connect. So basically, Rare owns the rights to the games it makes with the exception of Donkey Kong games because Nintendo owns the IP, and the GoldenEye 007 games because whoever the hell makes James Bond owns the IP. And Microsoft owns Rare, and Microsoft probably isn't going to be too happy to share one of its IPs with a direct competitor. Saying that we could add Diddy Kong Racing to our list of Rare characters removed, and we know they can do this from the DS remake of Diddy Kong Racing, which was almost exactly the same as the original, but with Rare racers removed. Banjo is out of the question as he's owned solely by Rare, and so you would think that GoldenEye's out of the question too, right? Well, surprisingly we could still get it. You see, to figure this one out, we'll need to go on a journey through the wonderful world of copyright policy. To start, as Nintendo owns the rights to Donkey Kong Country despite it being developed by Rare, you'd think the rights to GoldenEye would go to the Broccoli Bros. Or is it Broccoli? The company that owns James Bond. And there seems to be no hostility between the two companies, so Nintendo could easily work out a deal. But what if there's another company that's already been given right to make Bond games, I hear you typing, and simply no other companies have shown interest in the Bond brand except for Telltale Games, I found in my extensive search through the most trusted source known to man. And besides, even if Telltale does make a move, I doubt Telltale James Bond and a GoldenEye re-release would really get in each other's way. Next up is why and where, and they're stupid, so quickly, why is money and the where is everywhere except Antarctica and Atlantis. I mean, jerk move Nintendo, discriminating against those 4,000 brave scientists, mer people, and fish who probably don't exist. And most importantly of all, those adorable penguins, who just wanted to relive an entirely different species' childhood. On a completely unrelated note, how awesome would a realistic VR penguin simulator be? I mean, artistically, Antarctica could be beautiful. Penguins don't exactly have the most varied routines, so it should be easy enough to program. And penguins do so much diving and sliding, which is perfect VR. Like, imagine doing this. Bad example, but imagine doing that. Cooler, but 100 times better. You know why? Because you'd be a penguin. Wait, hold on. You guys don't think the 5 reviews are meant to be implemented slightly more subtly than what I'm doing now? Well, the script's already rubbish. Might as well finish it. When? Answer, next year. I mean, it's obvious. The NES Mini released 2016, SNES Mini 2017, and the N64 Mini will release in 2018. Some may, as I originally did, argue with that notion by pointing out, as I did, that if mini systems continue annually, by 2023 we'd have a Nintendo Switch Mini, and the Classic Editions will overlap with the normal editions. However, I think the gaps between the Classic Edition systems will start with GameCube Mini. I don't know why, it's just gut feeling, and writing this down makes me realise how stupid it is, but like I said, it's just a gut feeling. Anyway, thanks for watching and goodbye.